If it doesn't, I might have, and I apologize. Alright. Fingers crossed. I'm gonna pick one of these and hope it goes forward. We were left with Cove talking about the fact that his mom was gonna come visit over the course of the summer, and him having like a lot of deep emotions about that, considering his parents weren't able to even be around each other previously. So like, I'm gonna, note that there is nothing wrong with the idea of having those large emotions, because it is something that would be harder to deal with. Fingers. It didn't shut down. It is now working. Feel free to... Since it is apparently working and reloading things helped. Let's see if it actually... There we go. The tense line of Coast. Thanks. That makes me feel a little better. Like I'm not freaking out for no reason. A momentary silence fell over the two. You marveled at how the day had started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude. And as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again? Your whole life was kind of like that. It's complicated and hard and different. Couldn't things just get better with time? Valeria, the sound of your name, said quiet, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed, concerned.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Just because, stuff's crazy doesn't mean it's bad. I'd argue that despite all the craziness, I'd be... Yeah, I'm okay. You knew some things were still good. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate. You knew it was genuine. Moonlight from outside cast shadows across his face. They seemed to sparkle and smile. Just that one look brightened. I don't think I want to talk about this anymore. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, him rubbing. Doing the thing. But I kinda don't want to go back home. Can I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly? Alright. Are we saying he's always, welcome? Do we got cards? Should we not have a habit of this? I argue staying up and playing cards with, the person who's technically like your BFF. You may crush on him a little bit, but like your BFF. Yeah, 2 or 3. I'm feeling flashlight. You tilted your head, waiting patiently for his answer. Cove perked up at your response, a smile of hearing. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable. You felt a little better at the sight of somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he... And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd... It felt totally natural to let him into your world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over the past year, and you were certain there was room to include. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across. He smiled, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy, though he didn't want to talk to his mom. He must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. How do we approach the situation? Like, grant you, we could go with hug, because we've hugged him since, like, we were small children, whether he wanted to or not. We were the child that hugged. this feels a little more intimate, and while we do have a crush on him, not if you want to keep your options open, because the more flirty you are with him, the less flirty capable you are with other individuals, because it'll kind of like steer the whole story towards him, which is great, but you haven't even met Derek or Baxter yet. Ooh, I could do fun. I'll definitely take his hand though, you know, do that. You easily were able to reach out and just gently hold his hand. It wasn't much. Hope the contact, even a little. Cove blinked, startled, before his expression softened. Conversation was stilled and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your hand. Secret hangout session touched on. You thought that you really wanted to keep having moments like that. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways. And you knew. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted bright light, streaming and warming your peace. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from sunlight and blinked a couple times, clearing the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't even remember falling asleep. Cove cracked through your window. Two of you spent time trying not to. You must have fallen asleep when you were hanging out. Think on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stayed snuggled up for a bit while longer. I have one of those coughs coming that's like back the. It's that kind of that doesn't. Sorry about that. Hey. Slowly dying. Until your gaze landed instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright past his eyes. No, dying is not that type of game. I know, right? Like, if someone dies in this game, I'm gonna be really concerned because no one's supposed to die. He never left. He was still there in the morning. How do we feel about handling the fact that, Hope technically slept over? Yeah, I hate coffee. So much. I mean, personally, I'd laugh at the situation. More because, at this point, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do except laugh? You know? You argue jumping out of bed and freaking out. I thought you wanted this character to have less anxiety, not more. I thought you wanted this character to have less anxiety. But this is just anxiety, but fine, alright. Argue 1 minute, I want to let character with less anxiety, next minute, alright, anxiety, got it. Your feet hit the floor faster than the speed of light, though Cove remained asleep. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. It was lucky your leap hadn't caused him to fall over. But he certainly couldn't stay like that. You knew you had to wake him up before your parents or Elizabeth waltzed into your room. Being chaos, yes you are. With that in mind, you also had to get him out of there quiet. Alright. We throwing pillows at him, we poking him in the face, tugging at his hair, like how we handling. This one just seems like it has the highest propensity to cause him to scream. Because I know if someone whispers in my ear to wake me up, my response is to scream and swing on them. So I'm just noting my own, vibe. Throwing a pillow just seems like it would at least muffle him if he was quiet. Poke him in the face or I'm going pillow then. Throwing a pillow at him. Grabbing him with a soft, fluffy pillows from your bed, you tossed it at Cove and he woke with a start. You scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance and falling back down. He recovered just as quickly and faced you indignantly. Hey, what was that for? Shh. What? The situation dawned on him too before he even finished the word. Cove blinked at you a couple times, and his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, I fell asleep! You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room looking frantically. That. Cove's hands flew to his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to. Despite that, he hadn't completely calmed down. The atmosphere was still present. Alright. We're gonna... probably not the right time to use it, but also not the wrong time to use that, but we could go with, just chill out before Mom's here. You were the one arguing. Don't let Dad. Yeah. Settle down before Mom. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare in his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all of this had played out, but hoped that it was true. Right. Bye, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, it seemed to be something he couldn't forget. Thanks again. You're a good friend, Valaria. Really good friend. He firmly whispered the words into the top of his shoulder. It made you feel or you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. I love how they just have no screens. Where I live in New England, if you don't have screens in the summer, you got bugs for days. Where do they live? Where there's no flying bugs that require screens. Apparently. However, as someone who does live near the coast, the breeze rolling off the ocean on a hot summer day is phenomenal. Cove furiously stepped out on it. I'm gonna argue one or two, probably. Like, wishing him luck or just rallying him, because he's definitely probably not gonna sneak out the door if he's already halfway across the fence. And that just seems good. So, that's rude. Oh, I'm gonna wish him luck. Good luck, be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you, but he kept going along one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until the form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keeping him. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down onto the ground, which means he climbed the fence to get onto the garage, to pull himself onto a balcony, like, jut out ledge, to basically one foot in front of the other, over the side of your house to knock on your window. Dude's friggin' Mookie. Friendly neighborhood. You threw it a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. It's the surfing balance. That makes sense. That's true. He is, like, considering how into sports he was during the middle section, because I believe he was, like, full sports. Like, if you... Okay. Sorry, there's suddenly a loud... if you go, like, full sports, like, pretty much, like, keep, going up, he goes, like, professionals in a sport sort of vibe. So, like, you're not wrong. Surfer balance is really nice, so I've seen surfers all throughout the beaches up here, and they have phenomenal. You had to admit that you're pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. Like, I'm impressed. Cove always seemed to have a way of seeming so smooth without meaning to. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding there was nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs. All right, making our bed. We're 13. Remember this. First off, 13 and technically female. So for the boys who are watching out there, think of that a little bit too. I argue checking oneself in the mirror, because I know even at 13 I didn't make my bed. It took a long time for me to actually want to make my bed without, being yelled at about it. Or slippers, but it's summer. I don't wear slippers in the summer. You just left, like, no care about bedhead, no, So that's what 13-year-old boys do, I'm gonna assume. Well, you know what? People like you now. Ignoring. Sorry. I'm gonna make sure I don't look like, hot garbage. The last thing you want is to walk out of your room as a 13-year-old girl and, like, not realize you've got headlights. Or you accidentally started your period. Or your hair looks like it's exploded and your older sister or younger sister makes fun of you. None of that's fun. Yeah, you certainly looked like you had just woken up with your green hair sticking all over the place. Taking a comb from your bedside table, you attempted to fix and smooth down some of the messy straight. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that somebody would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting.
Why?
Why are you being so weak? You haven't done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat on you. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips pursed together even tighter. She is I don't get the option. No, I don't get the option to run. I get shrugging it off and just making her, like, confused. I get the stunned silence. I get the the excited, like, and the you just fold like a deck of, pretend not. I don't know. Folding could be like just lie. How about sorry? Can we come? I have no idea where sorry leads. I've never picked it. Can we compromise on sorry and just see where the chaos goes? All right, that would be number 4. I'm gonna go with. Lie and run. She will win everything. No, she won't. For what? I don't know. She began to smile, thinking whatever you were hiding was bigger than she assumed.
Come on.
Yes. Tell me. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately, she rolled her eyes and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you fold, it's actually really cool. I'm just gonna show you. Folded. This was too much pressure. I just... Truth. There's a good reason. Hope spent the night in my room. Moms don't know. Please don't tell them. Your sister's mouth fell open as if on command from that. It was an accident. After it seemed to have sunk in, she buckled forward with laughter. Elizabeth even put a hand up the kitchen island to keep a little more stable. I cannot believe you. You let the neighbor boy sneak into our house and then stay over? Wow, that's just... Does this dad even know? No, it's a secret. Secret,
You're welcome.
You're lucky we keep secrets. If you lie in the earlier thing and cover for Elizabeth when her and Cove were fighting, she remembers and she covers for you here, because sometimes you don't have to tell your parents. Sometimes you can just work it out with your sibling, and your parents can be blissfully unaware of the fact that, she was yelling at Cove and needed to apologize. And the fact that, he accidentally stayed the night. Siblings can have... You have a bad relationship with your siblings. She winked conspiratorially. The two of you had always been able to talk to each other without necessarily having to inform you. Thanks. I knew you'd understand.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah, sure. I don't know what you see in him, sis, but enjoy. With a wave, she walked straight out the front door, letting it shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh of relief. It looked like you were gonna get away. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they had made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and a few sausage links. Alright, are we taking a little bit of everything? Are we avoiding animal products or meat or, stuff? Are we being picky? I typically go with everything because you can actually make your individual, pescatarian, vegan, vegetarian, all sorts of different things. But I like steak and chicken and bacon and all that way too much to give up meat. This one passes more towards vegan. This one passes more towards vegetarian. This one can end up leaning you more towards the pescatarian and other pickier options. Yeah, just eat everything. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was a variety in the meals that your mom said. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a look. It was perfect. Balmy summer afternoon. You hadn't decided to head outdoors to find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was, but you were sure something would pop up. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since you left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Dad to go over to his house right now or to call him? Check in. You stepped out of your house, still stuck in an eternal debate with yourself, and a voice caught your attention.
Hi.
Hi, Valeria. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you. A friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. School? From the country club your moms took you to? You had absolutely no idea where you knew this woman. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you stay put or go back into the house. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I'd heard so much about you, but you have no idea who I am. You shook your head and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, you seemed a little bit more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex, too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner now that you had gotten a look at her. So, what do we think of Cove's mom? She seems pretty strange, young, made sense, different, or pretty. Is she pretty? Do you think Cove's mom? Play nice with him. First off, you gotta get over your mom. No. Second off, I'm gonna consider the pretty lady. This beautiful lady was Cove's mother. Also, tattoo, right? Super cute. It was kind of crazy how both his parents were that good looking. No matter your thought, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned that she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended the hand, and this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets dangled from her. I'm Kira Priest. You can call me Kira. Also, these are the bracelets in question. Like, I love when you can see, like, different chunks of it because of the way, you know? Because, like, this is just a cute, like, bunch of bracelets. Super cute. And I'm totally sure. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Valeria, but you already know.
That I do.
That I do. Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you. Cove talked about you to his mom. He hadn't mentioned. Miss Cove said about me. What are you doing here? Nice to meet you too again. What's that? Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that either, though. The sound of the door opening and closing caught both of your attention, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering how tall he had grown, you just kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult. Cove's height might come from his.
My baby.
I love it. There you are. I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to nudge towards you, but he gazed firmly. When he finally turned and looked up, he gave you a pitch of. After the way he had acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up. You tried to wordlessly express that wonder. Cove and I are headed into town to grab something to eat while the snores at work. Kira beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore he was talking about was Mr. Hey, you should come with us, Valeria. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. With the eyes of a bleeding golden retriever, like, safe. He is a golden retriever being hugged against his will when someone else has food across a yard. That is the exact mood he is right now. You know that, like, pitiful whininess? You are the hot dog on the plate across the yard to his golden retriever being held back from. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't. Of course we'll run it by your parents. Responsibility.
Any whoosies.
It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the street for the time being. Whoosies, Kira walked ahead, towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he walked.
Sorry.
Sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want to just of us. You leaned in closer and went, while checking around for anyone who might happen. Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. You were to hear that too? Oh, sighed again. I'll go with you. You really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little. Thanks, that'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind you. Mom answered the door after being in surprise at the ground in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging. However, after blinking a couple of times, her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on. Hello there. I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you've met my kid, Valaria, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kira laughed. You and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird. Mom. I'm Kira Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. I had a purple-brown hair caught your eye as Mom popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company! I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly. The two of them introduced themselves.
Hello.
Hi, Valaria. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she put her hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? Oh, I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise. Oh, I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I'll take you up on that offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Valaria went with Cove and I? My treat. You wouldn't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, what's up?
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. I'm okay with them letting me, you know, that shows that they trust me to be independent and to, you know, like, I personally think that it shows that, you know, a certain level of trust. That they're just like, yeah, sure, you can go with the lead. You say that just after sneaking a boy into the house. For the record, he snuck himself into the house. I did not know he existed, and then he was just suddenly in the window. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye. Three of you. You backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi. Not too far from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. The answer was straightforward, and the tone was hurt. Cove was usually more lighthearted. Kira put her hand on her hip, smiled at herself.
Well,
you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Really? Kira pouted it. How about you, Valaria? Want to point me in the right direction? mean, sure. We're, you know, I'm getting a free lunch on this. If I can direct where the free lunch is to a place that I already enjoy, yeah. That's like someone being like, what's good around here, and actually taking your recommendation, you know? You'd been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all of them. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to sort of be fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it up to you to pick for us since Cove is going through a phase of it. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Oh no. No. Like, I'll pick. I don't care either way. But I kind of want to force him. Just, you don't get to ignore and not be part of this uncomfortable situation you dragged me into. If you want to drag me into a situation, I'm gonna make sure that you're in tropical themed place. Not gonna, you know, force him to like confront the elephant in the room. Are we gonna do that later over, you know, over tacos basically? Alright, we're just fine.
Thank you.
Nope, apparently we are not addressing, just let him pout. Oh no, eventually the elephant gets addressed. Like, no matter what, the bubble's gonna burst. It's just when the bubble. Thank you, Valaria. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kira asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kira explained that she lived in a large city. She loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in the herd. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Meet the tropical restaurant. Kira lowered herself in a chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her, to her side. So, let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? Get an orange.
Noted.
Noted, Valaria. All right. Soda. Which flavor? Now comes the question. What flavor of? Do we go root beer? Do we join Cove and orange? Not great. Do we go like lemon lime Sprite vibes? Are we in cola? I don't want ginger ale. Like, ginger ale's kind of like my last resort. Personally, I'm like a root beer fan for stuff like that, or like maybe an or Coke, but orange. Right? Who loves orange soda? Well, Cal loves orange. You know who also loves orange soda? This chick, right? Sure. Kira placed the order for your drink, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table. You took a long sip of your drink. You looked. Your small group checked over the menu, deciding what to order. The last time you came, you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different. Kira and Cove didn't need any encouragement. They were totally focused on the end. Soon, meals too were ordered from the menu. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like this was all perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were encouraged. Instead of asking more open questions, he'd brush off. Kira had mercy on her. Instead, put her focus.
So,
Valaria, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something that you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignment. You can pick a lot of things. I can pick everything. So we're gonna go through because they all have, a lot of them have subsections. So reading, watching things, various games, hanging out with people, beach things, sports, music, art, writing, studying, fashion, and code. So, well, I'll just basically do down, you know, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 through 12. Some of them have subsections, so if I hit one and it has a subsection, we can deal with that together as we go. Watching is things like TV and stuff, so like TV, movies, stuff. I personally go with a whole bunch of stuff. I do note that whatever you mention first is the thing that the game remembers, and the game will automatically inject into further conversations. So if we say want to like end up focusing on gaming or design or things like that, we'd start kind of here. If we wanted to do things like become a writer or a journalist, we go this way. So this is all stuff that eventually, you know. Yeah. And the thing is, I'm definitely gonna be picking more than one, but fine, I will do a die roll. Let's see, here's my D. When you actually, for once, need the D12. Or boys are an option for watching. So let's roll. So we alright, you know, we rolled a nat 1. I like to read. Exactly, see? Fiction. I'm personally a big fan of fiction novels, so I'm down with fiction novels. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. Comic books, manga, magazines, nonfiction, poetry, and I enjoy manga. I enjoy, you know. I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good. I've always read. Oh, just like Cove's daddy back in the day. Yeah, apparently Cliff was the comic. Oh, comic. Do we like nonfiction magazines or poetry, or are we just we good with stop per section? 4. Alright, how about this? I'll just go through all of them, and if we don't like anything, I like to watch. And see, people is on there. TV, movies, stand-up comedy, plays, people. Ooh, people watching is quite the unique. I enjoy TV shows, you know. It's pretty addicting when you find a good series, isn't it? Yes, tell me about it as I binge watch Criminal Minds. Say anything. Movies, obviously, especially with some of the great movies that have come out and are still coming out, you know? Sarah nodded her head, and you guess she must like that too. Come on, movies are... these ones are very unique. Stand-up comedy and plays like The People have a very unique and polarizing vibe to it. So, I enjoy plays. I'm not a huge fan of stand-up comedy, but I have, you know, gone to a comedic event or two. Do we want any of these? One. I will give the 5 count, and then I'll listen. Games are fun. I like to play. Board games, video games, card games. Like, sorry, going across the board with this. Games in general. Exactly, just yes. That's great. We should all play a game together sometime. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. Which is... this one does not have a subsection, so the ones I know have a subsection, they have the dots, so with the beach, and build sandcastles, swim, look for seashells, walk along surf. I'm definitely gonna pick go surfing because Cove's very into surfing, and I figure definitely, you know, you're gonna be surfing with Cove. So. Oh, do you and Cove surf together? Kira looked at Cove expectantly, who mumbled something non-committally and looked away. I know, it's just a yes section. That sounds like a lot of fun. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toes sometimes. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. That's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. Sports? Do we do any sports? Do we watch any sports? And yes, you can type your own sport in, and it can be any sport that technically exists, like soccer, football, since they are not list, gymnastics, freaking just about any sport. So, do we do a sport? Yay or nay? Besides surfing. Surfing is, if we're gonna do a sport, are we interested in any of these sports? Tennis, volleyball, golf, or basketball? Are we doing our own? I feel like the town's gonna just be like soccer, which is fine. Volleyball is good beat game. No, this is more like team at school. This is more like... I mean, we could be on a volleyball team. That's not bad. That makes sense. I bet there's a lot of that on the beach near here. Alright, do we enjoy watching sports? I don't enjoy watching sports, but I have no issue if other people enjoy watching sports. I don't like watching. So, I'll give that a yes. Evens, yes. Odds. That is a 7. Art. Do we want just another yes section? Because we have drawing, painting, sculpting, creating digitally, and visiting some fun galleries. This is like, yeah, it's just a yes section. Start visiting galleries, because I like looking at other people's art, but we only have a small gallery here. I hope one day I can travel to the big ones. Let's go. We learned how to make clay sculptures at school, and I've loved doing it ever since. I enjoy painting from time to time too, but I can't say I'm any good at it. I filled out a sketch. My computer at home doesn't really have... let's see, we have write things, music, which does have a subsection, hanging out with people, hove, fashion, and study. Let's do music because it has a subsection. Do we play any instruments? And do we listen? Because I listen to a lot of it, I've known. But we have guitar, bass, piano, drums, violin, flute, or own instrument. I kind of want to go with playing the guitar. Like, as someone who's always wanted to learn the guitar, I even own a guitar. I just... I really should actually try to learn the guitar at some point. I'm getting really good at it. And I listen. I'm sorry. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put the music on. And I've seen some concerts. Awesome! I'm good. Do we write things? Are we into code? Do we still like to study? Fashion? If we want all the hobbies, we can. This one provokes a really entertaining response. I will know. Being really embarrassed the boy. I'm really into code. Kira let out a sudden laugh and Code gasped beside you. It was so dramatic enough of an inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You shrugged at the reaction. It was a truthful answer to the question. Maria! It's the embarrassed 13-year-old. Why did you do this to me? Bo whispered at you, disapprovingly obscuring part of his face with a hand. But Kira only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. Like the... We spend time together when we can. Well, we have something in common. Kira smiled at Cove, who didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. Right? Do we want to write things? Or hang out with people? Or study? Or be... I'm not into fashion as I sit here in casual tank top and a giant oversized yellow hoodie behind me. I'm not fashionable, so... Study? That is fair. We did try to be smart. Studying in the summer, I have to admit, don't know a lot of people who enjoy that, but hard work is the key to getting what you want. I write things, like, because you can translate that, like, as someone who's been a dungeon master for D&D, that involves writing, you know? A fellow writer! Writing is a great form of expression, don't you think? Kara sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. And you didn't say anything else. Thanks! I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. I'm not talking to you. You hush. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air. You decided to ask Kira a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of it. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what we're seeing. It's good work. Alright, so we get to ask her things. What does she like to do? We live normally. That's a little pry. Like, there's pry and then there's pry. Like, why did you, Mr. Like, this to me is overstepping boundaries. I can get behind, like, generally the, you know, there's a line to. Let's just go from the top and see how far we want. What do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? Where do you live, Nora? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. This one's way too pryy for me, but I will ask about the relationship. Are you in a new relationship now? Kira brushed the question off. Not at present. Ask until Cove Man's up and file. That's a different trigger, and, you know what? No. You can get the game and find out yourself if you question. This is part of the free section of the game. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation had dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with a furrowed brow. He looked ready to run. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch for work. You can flick a straw wrapper at him if you want to lightly. So, if you want, that's a way to initiate conversation. You know? Playful in the straw wrapper or playful in the silly? Yeah. Flicking a straw wrapper at him. The wrapper hit Cove on the nose, and he had to bite down on to keep it. It took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little like
Very cute.
you two seem really cute together. And Cove covered his face with his hands and back.
Seriously?
Oh, Mom, why would you say that? It's literally the said that to her. Like, if we want to kind of do the whole delightful tease embarrass bit, it's gonna be stuff like, you know, the confident extroverted, you know, thanks, we are cute. Very. Because he just ends up looking so embarrassed. That's me. I forgot. Okay. There we go. See? Embarrassed. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious, even COVID.
Okay.
Alright, now they're all full and content. Can you explain, please, why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face squirmed. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of gesture. You would have told me. He leaned forward, not to miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that he had been in his mind. That I wasn't gonna visit you that you were gonna be coming here instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Bo's eyes began to shake in his frustration. I don't I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together, placed her hand in front of her. The mom thing where you do the... We've both been gifted. Literally. Referring to... You had also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford. She smoothed her hair out, letting go of her stone. More things change, or they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at me.
I'm sorry.
You can go home. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed. He seriously pondered the thought.
I mean...
I think I do want it. I miss it when... She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Oh god! The moms! The mom! Mom, stop! All I picture is like any 13-year-old dude that I knew and his mom trying to do that. Oh my god. They just the probably dying inside that is occurring right now. I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom life. Fear was completely influenced by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No!
Cove had snapped the instant, reeled his annoyance back. Maybe later, not today.
It's all right.
Understand. We can. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little nigger. He grinned affectionately at him before turning away. And thank you. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor one. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks. Mom! She then just ruffled his hair with a laugh and moved her hand down to tap the end. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kira had paid the bill, you walked back to the neighborhood. You had eaten so much by that time you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. That's why your parents left you. They didn't have to buy dinner, basically. You're not gonna eat dinner, so they probably don't have to make a dinner. You're old enough that you can basically eat leftovers if you end up getting hungry, but otherwise, it saved them from having to worry about feeding one child. Smart bang. But eventually, you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family, and Valaria, too!
Huh.
Dad. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing a word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh. I am in He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on it. He's so much like his mom. You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting. He nodded back, calm her energy. Okay, have a nice night, Valaria. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad inside. It was your turn. Summer hadn't started off all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also for both your families, and a dull moment. And now we actually get to all the moments. So this is DLC. So thank you for purchasing Derek's DLC. Here you can play 5 new moments centered around Derek. He also has a special epilogue in Step 4. To unlock it, you need to fulfill these conditions. Play all 5 of the Derek DLC moment. Completing the soiree with Cove or by going alone is all right as long as you finish the moment. So we're gonna click his, but we can anyway. Choose to remain in touch with Derek during step 3. Then you will have the option to play Derek's epilogue during step 4. You only have 1 epilogue per playthrough. You can make another save on the epilogue selection page to reload there and pick another later. And Derek's DLC can be friendship or romantic. So that means we have to do this version of the soiree, but otherwise everything else is up for grabs. So we have 14 different options. So I can roll, someone can pick, but I can list them off. We have 1, okay, you know what? You're just being smart. Wave, growing, family, dinner, road trip, mall, birthday, summer work, escapade, responsible, lemonade, soiree, siblings, and I know you can't see boardwalk because of where my camera is, but boardwalk. I'll try to we were in the middle of a scene and I couldn't exactly tell where things were because... However, apparently, we need to just start at the beginning. So, wave it is. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a wine. Ma came out the front door and paused just
It's no trouble.
Do you need any help, Valaria? I can bring it in the rest of the way if you want me to. How strong are we feeling? No. There's either you can let her do it or you cannot, and you're gonna eventually have to bring in your own. Yeah. No, I've got it. You were doing fine. Even if it was large, it wouldn't be any problem. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through her green hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents. Sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags? With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out to the kitchen. I'm the target of her bad mood.
Be careful!
Careful, Valaria. You hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad joke. Outside, Ma had just started organizing what remained and putting back any loose object fallen out. When you stepped the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around.
That's a shame.
It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up at that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, I think. You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. Yeah, it is. Days like today are my favorite. It's too hot. I wish it was raining. For me, the best. Honestly, a clear, sunny summer day with is exactly summer. So, days like today are my favorite. Ma smiled, her amber eyes glinting. You and your sister are a lot alike in that way, and me too. You gave her, but eventually you turned back to help her. Last bag. Oh, hi, Cove. You noticed Mom wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door. His surfboard popped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and a wetsuit. Where might you be off to this whole day? Cove instantly startled, not having his family was there. Even though your mom was the one who called out, you were the one he looked at. He tried to settle down again. He jogged across the pavement to properly say hello to you. Decidedly awkward since Cove had trouble figuring out how into you the addition unwieldy board made the whole even. Be careful with that thing, you'll put someone's eye out. Mom chuckled for it.
Pam.
Please, just Oh, sorry, Mrs. Don't mind her, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I've been out in the waves in a long time. Yeah, I'm hoping to get in a few good waves before it gets dark. Hi, Cove. He had relaxed a lot when Maud said to him, but the rigidity came back as soon as you.
Hey.
Hi, Valaria. Cove managed to grin, and it almost felt like you had butterflies in your stomach. Do you want to come hang out later? You noticed the flush of red on the cheek, so that might have just been. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Cool. When he spoke again, he tried to contain some of the excitement that was really ready to burst. It'll be fun. You're not done unloading, right? Can I help?
No, no, no.
No. This is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Valaria can catch up as soon as she's finished here. All right, I'll see you. Yeah, bye for now. We've headed down with more skipping. It was really cute. You smiled softly to your you thought that you'd be joining soon. Easy. Sure seemed to perk up after you meet him there. I wonder why that could be. Now who's giving him a hard time, Lonnie?
Josh.
Shush. Different. Mom's face broke into an incredulous grin. In what way? I'm being supportive, and he. Mom full on laughed.
Lonnie.
You're the worst of us when it comes to this, honestly. I keep trying to warn people, but they won't listen. I only want to help. I think it's fair to say he need meddler. You have a You narrowed your eyes at the tease. He chuckled conspiratorially, taking more bags. Sighed. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. Oh, definitely. If surfboarding's one of your hobbies, you definitely are gonna have, especially with how sportsy he is, you probably kept up on it decently, so 100% we have a worst case, like, you say you surf. You'd been practicing your surfing more and more lately. It was always ready to go. After grabbing your board and getting everything ready, you headed down to the beach.
Have fun.
Have fun, honey. Stay safe. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves, the soft calls of seagulls. I'm sorry. You took in a lungful of the ocean air. You noticed a small setup with a towel, some sunscreen, and a potted. It must be Cove. You spotted Cove himself. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand, his board propped up, rolled up. Hey, I'm here. Valaria. He looked up with you with a smile and prompted me. I was wondering if you were still coming. Missed it. You know? He chuckled shyly at you. Okay. And he cast his eyes out toward Want to have a competition? What does the winner get? You wrinkled. Thought about it. You win. I'll let you have my dessert then. And if you win, I'll give you. You shook hands to settle the terms and ran out into the water. You paddled out into the sea to where the good waves. Water was.
It's nice.
Not too calm, but nothing too crazy. It looks perfect. He smiled. Smile back. You felt totally. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and hit. The apology did not come across as a and he was oh. Competition splat. You laughed, but waited for an opening to prevent. The second he looked, you kicked back, spraying. This isn't what we were supposed to compete over. Sounds to me like you're afraid if you take the heat. Nothing. He tried to splash more, but he was cut first. He looked. Don't you want to do some surfing before the afternoon is over? One battle was over. War was just. By the time you set the standards for the little competition, you felt relaxed. Go with the, just kind of like vibe. But I feel like people who surf do it. You decided to go with the flow. You played the competition by ear and went after whatever wave made sense. Hove as a surfer was as graceful as a professional. Now, furrowed. Effortless smile. It was incredibly hard to. However, you tried to keep your focus on the feel of the waves. Be confident. Smile. I'll go pretty good. I'll go pretty good. I'm not humble. I'm not gonna be like amazing at everything. I'm gonna go for like the mid. You're pretty good at. Sometimes you miss on a bird run, but over you mostly stuck with safe is and let go a daredevil. You built Pumpkin and got the rhythm of it down. By the end, when you couldn't complain about your post performance staff. He wasn't bragging about it. Sparkle in his eyes. At least you picked all things more. There was an excellent. Use them against. What an afternoon. The setting sun was. Every time you would look away, it sunk a little lower. The beach was dark. More. You knew you should get out of the. You rode one. There. Bo followed behind you. He put his bird with thing and grabbed her drum. He ruffled. You watched the sunset. Colors were beautiful. Shadows over. There was no need for birds and hues. Both enjoyed the both broke. The waves were good to so good. You couldn't help but smile at the phrase. Mental pot. Felt a surfer heat. Yeah? Thanks. He was humble. You both knew. You tried. In truth, oh no. Then the day can't be over. Not yet. He scowled. Don't you think it should be her? Yeah. Bove stood up. Fine. I'm not gonna go home yet. I wanna go somewhere. I don't know. Bove was still dripping in foam. So you weren't sure the alternative. Super fine at the beach, not. Isn't a good idea for him to lug his surf. He'll be real good and not do wherever you. We're sure to be welcome anywhere. It's okay. I like this one. We'll be sure to be welcome anywhere soaking wet like this. It's the mutual joke. Bo finally took note of his current state and laughed, shrugged. Then he looked down at the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went there nowadays if she was looking too. How time could change. He's so. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy. You brought this idea up to Cove and he cringed. I'm still going. The sun is still there, a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. Yeah, tag along. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though he didn't take much care to shake the fan. You dealt with. I'm the methodical. I take time to tag, time to everything in bed, even if I've had a day. It's just I can leave certain things undone, like the dishes for the morning, but for the most part, I try very hard to keep. The two of you finished at about the same time. As a final touch, Cove plucked his glasses off the beach and put them back on his face. He looked more like. He led the way down the beach to the park, and far, so it didn't take you at all. Stuns still hadn't completely disappeared just when you made sure. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed a towel over top. By now, the two of you were mostly dry. Summer breeze on your skin, pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey. He grabbed him, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely gone. He would also agree. Were way too tall to properly. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through. Sat on the bars. His legs dangled up. Bars perched. Then, as a kid, I'll join him on the monkey. Because as a 100% a thing. You didn't even have to stretch to pull yourself. There was a rather tall seat to clamber on. It worked. Cove scooted over to give. These monkey bars weren't made for two teens. Guess what? Broadly, eyebrow. He's not here. Right. It was true. There wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just gonna be the two of you. Cove hung his head back and groaned dramatically. Her eyes widened when he whipped his.
No way!
I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized he was quoting. That's just pure laughter. Don't scare me like that one, Jeremy. Enough. That's not really nice. Funny, but not nice. You don't have to. No. It's that playful banter. Ugh. Parents don't know anything. Cove chuckled back. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the camp, and the beach is where you're stopping. You wondered how Cove actually, how much was his joke to go, how much he was sincere in his dislike of it. Moving head joy. No, you don't. Smiled. I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. Honestly, this is like the nice casual. Yeah, I like it too. We have one person, which well, if I grew up next to the beach, like I'd have. Whereas Leah, well, of course, or you're the best thing in the neighborhood, Cove, which these are a little more fair, but this is a little more casual. I think I'm actually for a little. Well, of course, I'm here. Cove flushed, started kicking his legs wildly. Take finally dropped. The sun was gone. You chatted a while. Definitely might. Better get home. Longer. We'd been talking about it. Days were longer. I wish this day. His feet kicked out. It made him look like a. Oh well. Both sides. He hopped down. The thump. You clambered down the monkey bars yourself. Lowered yourself. slowly, then Cove barely made a sound. Cove grabbed his surfboard and towel around his neck, the water bottle in hand. You both began your trek up the road, quiet. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached the street. Off, Cove smiled at himself. Soft. Couldn't help but wonder what it is. Everything okay? I just remember when we were young, it used to be such a big deal to come home after. You could indeed recall. Sandy, your parents would have something wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came out home after, hell, your mom's and his dad better have said it was okay before. You used to need permission for everything. A small comment he made exposed you don't really have this. Cove looked up in the sky, a smile still on his face, the two of you side by side. When you came to your houses, thanks for today. Thanks for an awesome day. Cove waved and you both turned around to the house. This was and sorry. So now we have 2 through 4. Technically it's now 1 through 13. So I'm gonna roll and hope it lands on under 14. If it doesn't, I'll roll. Well, that's a 10. That is only less. 5, 7, 8, 9. We're doing. I'll see Derek one. What? We're gonna start with lemonade. So we've met Derek, but like we haven't done a ton of stuff. Lemonade's good. It was afternoon on a sleepy summer day. Nothing urgent to be done. Real plans. You and your company simply hanging out around the local beach. Trees. It was one of those good days. The world was your own. 2 of your close friends there too. Derek was on your lap. Cove was right. 3 pairs of feet trailed along in the soft. Derek had only been dropped off minutes ago. Instead of going inside your house, simply started to walk. It was definitely hot in Southern California. But it wasn't that you had to hide away from the beating rain. Cove's hands were in his pocket. He spoke out while facing away from you. Instead, he lazily walked.
So,
what do you guys want to do? You and Derek on matching squints. Normally, there'd be endless answers. The lackadaisical mood, it felt like trying to solve math. You had nothing. Your thoughts were moving as slowly. Fine. The resident problem solver offered a possibility with a yawn and a tall stretch arm for his head. Most of you haven't, and stretching isn't.
Well,
Want to walk to the grocery store with me? Cove twisted his face to the opposite side, stared at Derek. A stuttering laugh expressed its relief. Why would we go grocery shopping? With a shrug, Derek scratched his face and explained. Well, it's probably different here, but where I live, the closest place to get stuff isn't a convenience store or a mall or anything. It's a grocery store. So sometimes me and my bros will take a trip down there and see what we can find. Wouldn't you? That sounds neat. Wouldn't you find groceries? He joked. I'll try it if you want. You stared at him with the same questioning look as Cove. You nod along the explanation. Some interesting hobbies, Derek. I like the joke. Wouldn't you find groceries? I mean, yes. Derek just laughed. The puzzled reaction from his 2 friends didn't deter him.
this is gonna be great.
It's not really like normal wearing. You can get anything you want. There's a lot of things at the store you never even think about when you're there with your parents and there's just a list of stuff for the house. Poe's formerly heavily drooping lids lifted high, showing his bright blue eyes. He glanced between you and Derek for final confirmation. We're seriously doing that. Derek had complete confidence. It'd be interesting. Corners of your name worked up.
Sure.
Okay, let's go grocery shopping. Cool. It was another successful bit of improvising from Derek. He put his hands on his hip.
Let's go.
I'm pretty sure I know where your store is, but the two of you should probably leave it to us. Ove puffed his chest out with pride. He was a true local to being there for years. And your walk continued, now with an actual destination in mind. You retraced the remnant of your steps in the sun, heading back to the neighborhood and up the hill and out. I mean, we actually wrote so I could, like, we got a convenience. I could see that for where you. When you turned onto the main, the grocery store was already visible. It also wasn't going anywhere, so you enjoyed the stroll together. You would arrive. Eric continued to sell the concept of plan by recounting stories of him and his brother's past adventures in grocery.
But
So we'd gotten super lucky because the discount rack had a whole cherry pie way off. Me, George, and Nico pulled our pocket change to get it, and we had an entire pie just like that. We sat outside on a bench near the store and ate it from the pan. It was already cut into 6 slices. I only let the kids have 1 piece each. It was already a lot of sugar, and I didn't want to make them foods. I tried to come up with how we were going to explain half a pie to Mom, but Nico had his own idea. He took a slice he wasn't allowed to eat and instead threw it at George. Poe's mouth gasped open at the audacity. Derek laughed out loud at the memory and the response it got in the present. He'd been watching way too many cartoons worth the food fights and pies to face, I guess. You'd believe that. If there was one thing Nicholas loved, was another, cars. There was a third, it was copying things too.
obviously.
Obviously, George didn't let that slide, and he took the 5th piece of the pie and squished it right into Nicholas's head. His hair was covered in dark cherry. It was a mess, but if you can't beat them, join them. I dumped the last of the pie on myself. Why? It stopped them from fighting over it. They would have ended up feeling bad if they got messy and didn't. Nicholas doesn't. Oh, what'd you do next?
Honestly,
We found a water fountain around the back of the grocery store and tried to scrape off as much pie as possible. Then we went home. Mom still figured out what happened. We all had to take real baths. That was good. A fond smile settled onto Derek's face. He glanced up to the sky while getting lost in an entirely private moment. Cove was still reflecting. Sorry. Oh man, I would. That's adorable. Hope we find a whole pie. Huh, grocery store. Exciting that you get there. Very tough. Shook your head at her. Honestly, I'd find a whole pie. I have to check for it. Cove ruffled his hair, possibly considering how it might have felt to have an entire pie crushed into a block. Mark. Throwing fight is way more memorable. The most unexpected thing happened to me when we were out shopping was that time I got a free balloon and accidentally popped it pretty much immediately.
dude.
Oh, shoot. It was Derek's turn to chuckle in nervous disbelief. His grin just shook, imagine.
It's okay.
Rest in peace, Dolphin. Rest. so terrible, it was sad, but also funny. I'm sorry, that's how our first shopping trip ended. So you smiled quietly. Memory. Rest in peace. You won't be forgotten. The conversation stayed on the shore. Related outing. Derek had plenty more experience. Chat didn't last much longer though. Soon you'd cross the street and arrived at that Bird's local mom and pop grocery store. You and your two co-shoppers headed right. Shiver went down your spine when you stepped out into the feed. Tiny early eyes out in front of you. One was tightly packed, a throat, tightly packed. To some people, rows and rows of slogged, but seen through Derek's, it was a scavenger. So, it was Cove first. Do we need a car?
Nope.
Probably not. Derek casually waved that off. I still stated ahead for consumerism. We're here for quality, not quantity. Besides, do we even have enough money to buy a ton of things? Oh, wait. I'm being handed it. Yeah? That has claws. I'm incorrectly being handed a cat who has very long claws. You missed the ocean. You missed the waves one. Glad you're back. Missed waves. Went surfing. Getting blemmed now. No, you're perfectly valid. We ended up rolling for the next one, and we are on one of the Derek DLC ones called Lemonade. So, you know, when I'm not covered in fluffy baby, fluffy boy. Good boy, though. He's a good boy. Cove suddenly burrowed his hands into his pocket. Once again, he tucked them in deep, but didn't find what he'd gone in search of. Hopefully the call to the recruiter was a good one. There we go. Sorry, you got foisted upon me. Well, that's good. I don't have my wallet. It's at home. Me neither. I thought we'd just be in the neighborhood all day. Yeah.
I figured.
It's cool. I figured. Derek's lack of reaction couldn't smooth over Cove's obvious response to the situation. His wavy eyebrows pulled down together. We could have stopped by to get it before we left. Nah, this was my idea, so it's my treat. I've got like $8 and some change. That's enough for all of us to spend around a few dollars and put it together for one thing. That's gotta be plenty. God, remember when $8 and change was plenty enough to get a few things? Remember when $8 and some change could get you a few things? Right. I do. I'm that old. I know I'm that old. Oh, thanks, Derek. Not even $10 between us. Wow, it's like we're kids again. I promise I'll pay you back. Yeah, that'd be more than enough for this, or just smiling gratefully. I personally preferred to pay my friends back if I had the opportunity to. You'll have to tell me all about your call later. I'm gonna vote for pay you back. Just because, again, I'm an individual who, if I can pay back my friends, I promise I'll pay you back. $3? Not even that much? It's really no big deal. I still want to. I will too. Fine. There's wind. Sorry, we're not letting you spend money on us. We're gonna give it back to you because you're awesome. Bo's hands finally deserted his pocket, and one came up to rub his arm.
Alright.
Okay, thanks. Let's get something good. Derek took a step forward as he cheered. Alright, here we go. You went down the nearest aisle, swiveling your head to check both sides of the path as you swung your currently empty of goods. Yeah. The first stop of the market expedition was the discount rack. You didn't have the same luck as Derek and his little brothers. The only place in the store that was barren. One shelf, several dented or cartons of chicken stuff. Stuffed at the bottom of the rack was a bag of plain rolls. The sight was pretty. He shrugged like it was nothing. His words told a different story. It would have been easy if there had been a pie here, or cake, one of those pans with a bunch of cinnamon. Wistfully, Cove continued to mumble a list of all the miscellaneous pastries he could have potentially been able to get if the fates had aligned. We should just give up. There's no pie. We can still get the stock. It's such a good deal. Sorry, Cove. I was hoping for it too. Or you shook your head with a smile. I mean, I could argue. I am very sweet tooth. But that's fair enough. Cake it is. There's still plenty of possibilities. And if push comes to shove, we could afford a smaller treat, like getting 3 boxes with 1 slice of cake each. We wouldn't want to eat more than anyone. Maybe you wouldn't. Yeah, like, this is 100, like, Cove could have eaten half that pie himself. Yeah, speak for yourself, Derek. 1 slice wouldn't cut it. You don't need that much dessert, Cove. Or you shrug. I don't know about you, but, you know. I am pie, all for me pie. No. So that's half the pie himself. This talks about your desire for pie. So, yeah, speak for yourself, Derek. 1 slice wouldn't cut it. Whoa, alright. It's a good thing we didn't find one. Hey. You push package already pilfered treasure and continued to snack. You had cereals, pasta, sauces, an aisle full of chip bags, soda packs, more. The dry goods and canned foods now behind you. You arrived at the produce center. The arrangement of goods was much more open than the narrow rows of shelves. 3 of you could spread out more in between pallets and baskets of fresh vegetables. Derek grabbed an avocado to check its ripeness. Cove stared at the watermelon, appreciating the fruit, but the blank face made it obvious he had no idea. Then, a recognizable crackling sound sputtered to him. Both the boys with you lifted their heads. Without conversing, the 2 rushed over to the back wall. The leafy greens. A light spray of mist had burst from the raining down gently on the prey. Cove and Derek stuck their hands into the damp air while snickering. Derek rubbed his hands together, and he was watching. Cove lifted his hand up to be as close to the source as possible. Do we shove our hands in the veggie? I used to actually, when I was a child, I will admit, I have shoved my hand in the veggie mist when the veggie mist did when I was a child. It's, you know, yeah, punk kids, you know? You know what? Fine, punk kids having their hands in the veggie. You'd made your own dash across the floor to enjoy the tiny dusting of water drops on your fingers. The impromptu public shower ended, and it was back to the center of the space. Knowing grins were shared around as you regrouped. There was a comfort in realizing someone else had the same silly habit. With the distraction over and the main goal unresolved, Cope helplessly glanced around the store. He was totally stumped. There's a lot of things I'd like, but I don't have to get any of it now. There was a whine in his tone. He crossed his arms out of frustration. Derek kept his light, and as he would when dealing with his much younger siblings. Dude, you need more imagination. Turn lemons into lemonade.
I've got a plan.
Actually, wait, yeah, that's what we should do. We can get some lemons and make our own lemonade. The concept struck Cove just as much as Derek. Oh, that would be cool. Lemonade. Now that's it. Thanks. Derek marched with purpose to a box that was heavy with mesh bags, fired yellow citrus. He tapped a finger to his chin. I need limes and condensed milk now. I can probably get them. There. He tapped a finger to his chin, then bounced from one foot to another. Derek was suddenly a lemon connoisseur. Fair, who scrutinized the offerings with utmost. He selected 2 bags, one in each hand. The bottom of each pack was set against their upturned palm. Derek jiggled the lemon and tried to get a sense of their weight. Finally, the bag on the right was deemed superior. Derek carefully laid the unwanted bundle back on the stack. Then he lifted the winner high, showing it off to Cove and you. I got my thing. It's only $3. Your turn. This time, Cove didn't look aimlessly at what was in front of him. He shut his eyes and put all his mind's power to conjuring up an answer. Soon, he stole a quick glance at Derek's lemons through squinted eyes. His to
come on.
Let's go.
Let's do it. You made another trip across the length of the store, this time in a much Cove had a target. You couldn't fit it. He blew past all the food aisles, pet shelves, the cleaning supplies. He only stopped when he made it to the one aisle in the store with cheap plastic kids' toys. This is it. His words were eager and certain. There was this childish excitement. Oh, sitting. He reached a hand into the wall with the yo-yos and the bubble blower. His fingers landed on a bag of water. Drinking lemonade's gonna make me want to have fun outside too. We can use this for that.
Yeah.
Perfect plan, Cove. I'm amazed you didn't. It's great you found something. I knew you could do it. Good work. All right, grinning. Just the conspiratorial grin of, yeah, bish. Lemonade and water balloons. You know what? Unless suggested. For all his previous indecision, the sweetness of victory was all the more. His selection was even cheaper than Derek's. $2 and a bit of change. All that was left of Derek's money was the $3 and your choice. Derek patiently cradled his bag of milk, watched expectantly, excited to see what the final piece of the puzzle reflected on the theme that was forming, your own preference, and the shareability of different goods. And you opened your mouth. Eat chips, dude, chips to snack on. You know, you don't want to like get something that's just for me because I want to be able to share it because they are in the same vibe. I'm feeling either the chips or the candy, but arguably the chip be the better option. Because chips, lemonade, and a water balloon fight sounds like exactly. And if you can find a bag of chips for less than $3, share. Plus, it'll be cheaper than candy. You know, and then you're not arguing chocolate versus gummy versus other things. Like, you still argue with chips, but less with. How about chips? Yes. You got to lead the way out of the toy aisle, back into the thick of the grocery. Wound around the aisles and found the room. Took another minute, the best, and then you the items in hand, Derek and Cove to the chair. Derek dug out his pocket, paid for your on. None of you bothered to get a bag. Derek's was already in one, and you and Cove could easily carry your things. Just for the grocery trip, you returned to the great outdoors to walk back to the neighborhood. This kind of outing reminded you that it wasn't about what you were doing. What counted was who you were doing. Outside, you gathered in front of the crosswalk and waited for a chance to get back on the main. While standing around, it was unanimously decided that you'd bring your goods to Cove's house and make the lemonade there. Your home had the risk of Elizabeth deciding she wanted a free dinner. She wouldn't appreciate having offered. And there was no worry of that in Holden. Cove's mom and dad were out, and even if they weren't, they were his parents, not his bossy. They wouldn't even dream of throwing the three of you out of the kitchen. Instead, Derek was thinking along similar lines based on what he said. Honestly, man, I can't wrap my head around what it's like to not have any siblings, a house, at all. I don't mean that you're weird for that. That'd be so different.
Really?
Really? I have my dad here, and my mom is staying right now, too.
I guess.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Parents take care of the kids, and the kids have a bunch of stuff they need. Every day has to be about me and my brother. If we go out to eat, will everyone likes the stuff there? Or will George be too picky? Are we all old enough to do whatever the thing is, or is Nicholas too little? My birthday is the only time I can do everything that I want for the whole time, and I still choose to keep my bros in mind even though my parents don't make it.
It's okay.
And I don't mind, but it's crazy imagining a world where I don't have to do that. Huh. Haven't thought about it. Cove's eyes darted back and forth, and he bit the inside of his cheek. Guess having siblings or not changes how someone thinks. I figured people would be who they are no matter what, but maybe I would have needed to be at least a little different. I had to share my parents, my life all the time. I'm glad both of you who you are. I can relate to that, Derek. I wonder who I'd be without Elizabeth. I want to imagine a world without Elizabeth. Or quietly considering the topic. 1 through 5. Look, I have dice. When in doubt, if I don't have people. 2? I mean, count when I said you were Derek. I can relate to Derek. Elizabeth definitely had impacted my list. Yep, siblings do that.
But
The road was clear, so Derek got. My bros drive me up a wall, but I love it. Right, exactly, you know? The funniest thing is the age gap between him and his siblings. He's 3 years younger than one and 7 years younger than the other. The road was clear, so Derek got the conversation. Legs moved. He started preparations by listing off what you need to gather when you made it back. Sugar, ideally some ice, some really cool water, a pitcher, like that. Do you have one of those lemon squeezers? We could do it by hand if we gotta. Every object Derek recited, Cove nodded along plainly, but he was watching something off in the distance. Space Cadet. His faraway thoughts reaching less. Derek noticed the lack of a reaction. He called to Cove more loudly. Attention. Are you okay, dude?
Oh,
Cove blinked as his brain snapped back into the place. It's nothing. Oh, what were we talking about? Derek spun his lemon bag into a mini tornado by twisting it tight to the bottom and then moving it. He sniffed.
no worries.
No worries. I was just making plans for making the lemonade. Okay. The rest of the trip passed by calmly. Derek carried the conversation. Cove really paid attention. Once you'd arrived in your neighborhood and reached Cove's front door, the resident of the building opened it up without needing a key. It's already unlocked. Derek gasped upon seeing such a lack of security. Cove, however, was so relaxed and content that he yawned while going inside. That unknowingly cut off Derek's chance to question Cove about his choice not to lock the door. He simply followed his friend inside. Well, Cove leisurely crossed to the living room to drop a bag of butter coffee. You left your chips there alongside.
I'm on it.
Alright. Derek went straight into the kitchen. His lemon bag over his shoulder like a gym pack and flipped it over so he sat beside the bed. He slipped his thumb through the holes of the mesh and tore it. Where's your colander? Both. Then he turned and across the
what?
I what? Undeterred. Derek was quick to offer a strainer. In the lower cabinet. The one on the left. Derek pressed his hand to the marble, leaned forward with a grin.
Thanks.
Thanks, Code. I've never. I know what a colander is. I knew a kid Derek was talking. I have had it be called both a colander and a strainer, but I can 100% understand where people wouldn't have heard one. So, personally, I'm just gonna go with the idea that I knew what he was talking about, because I do know what. It's me personally. Yeah, totally knew it, Derek. Uh-huh. Then the spiky knocked down and disappeared from your sight. If you could call someone who made lemonade a chef. When he popped back into view, framed by the back wall and the beams in the front of the cage, was holding a silver strainer. He plopped it to the side, and it sharply clinked against the metal base. Derek took a bag he had nearby and dumped every single lemon. He turned on the faucet so he could clean the cherry fruit. The sound of running water added an extra layer of relaxation. Cove stopped dawdling and he already hard at work Derek in the kitchen. He grabbed a cutting board and a large knife. It was his house and he'd wordlessly claimed responsibility for the riskiest part of making lemonade. Cove also directed the sugar and butter. As it turned out, Mr. Holden didn't have an actual lemon, so you were gonna have to. But he did have a perfect glass pitcher to be perfect. The body of it was completely rounded, had a narrowed edge that would look at the top, with one side pinched into a spout. As far as you can tell, never been used.
Hey.
Have you made lemonade before, Valaria? Ooh. Derek casually questioned both of you. He had a so-called column up and down, shooting off some water. Especially questioned. I have made it. Like, I've made it when I was a kid, and I've done it a few times. It's a pain in the butt. And for the amount of lemonade you get to me, at least, if you don't have one of the squeeze things, it's not really worth the lemons, and I'd rather use those lemons for something else. Like maybe a lemon chicken dip. You know, like food. Or, you know, I admit as the squeeze in, like, you know, cells. So, but I've done it a few times. Me and Cove have made it together, or asking him. I feel like you probably would have dragged him. I really feel like you probably dragged him. Me and Cove have made it together before. Cove scratched at the back of his head. There was a pretty small amount of things you hadn't done together over the years. Trust. Yeah. Cool. Derek hummed while eating lemons on a clean kitchen. A fruit from a cup left, passed it over to his right. Sit down.
It's all good.
I've made it before. Fresh lemonade is so good. I'm excited for it. So am I. Your tools were all prepared, so the team shifted into the actual of the tradition. Cove would cut the lemons into chunks. Would roll the lemons against the slicing them to get the juices. You and Derek worked hard together. You squeezed the lemon parts over the pitcher itself, with a smaller strainer balanced over the mouth of it. Piece by piece, crush the thick peel into itself, pop little sacks of juice into the fruit. The tips of your fingers began to wrinkle. But slowly, a murky liquid pooled at the bottom of the basket. When enough fruits were chopped, Cove joined in the juicing effort. 3 of you huddled around the counter. You leaned over the one pitcher, trained to get everything you could out of those little yellow men, while not accidentally squirting acid. The precariousness of the situation aside, Cove continued the conversation. Oh. Hey Derek, you've made lemonade. Did you ever do the whole lemonade stand thing where you try to sell it? Oh, yeah, it was a mess, and I think we only sold like. Nicholas kept drinking our supply, and George's effort to stop him spilled even more.
Oh man.
Plus, the 2 kids fighting over the lemonade jar probably scared people away from the stall. But it's not like I was expecting it to be some kind of entrepreneurial success. It was for Nico and George to have fun, And they did. As usual, tales of Derek's endeavors as a big brother got Cove to chuckle. You were also smiling, even though your fingers had started to cramp after so much lemon acting. Honestly, trust and believe you want to have tried to do it because of the reaction of it. Besides, I did it as a kid. I think I know quite a few people who tried the lemonade stand thing as a kid. So, me, Cove, and Elizabeth did that too. Lizzie took it very seriously. She shouted at every person who passed by, though there weren't many of them. It was, you've seen our neighborhood. Almost no one comes up here, and our moms wouldn't let us go all the way to the main street to set up.
I gotcha.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem. It wasn't all bad. We did have a high success rate with the poor people who crossed our paths. Lizzie would chase them down if they tried to pretend they didn't see her. Now, the question becomes, how horrible was this lemonade? Because you gotta think, you're looking at sometime probably between like 13 and under. So even if we say it happened sometime like between the last section and this section, so it's somewhere between 8 and 13. That, if left to your own devices, I feel like that lemonade's gonna be... I have no idea if anyone really liked the drink, but at least they said it was good. Are you saying that, you know, that nobody drank it? Or they just lied? Or is it the neutral way? No adults lie to kids about... yeah, no adults lie to kids about that all the time. Fair. No idea if anyone really liked the drink, but Cove chimed in to add his lack of contribution. You could make it with salt, and they would say it was...
Yeah.
And I barely did anything the whole time, because I just talked. I didn't have to, thanks to Elizabeth, and I did get all the lemonade I could drink. Derek was the one laughing then. He squeezed another chunk with a whip.
Cool.
That's impressive. It's a hard market out there.
Man,
all this business talk makes me think about how I only met either of you because my dad partnered Dad's business. If that hadn't happened, you probably wouldn't have even ever learned I existed. Still didn't know each other, obviously. Eric squeezed his, lemon chunk with the flittingly sour expression. He'd accidentally made himself feel like in the cluster of human jukers, Derek was in the middle. He began to fade despite being... You and Cove looked at him from over Derek's. Cove pushed himself to smile through the concern, while also giving Derek's arm a little nudge with his elbow. I worry about that kind of thing sometimes. My dad hadn't agreed to. I wouldn't have met Valaria. Bravery he must began to disintegrate after putting the truth in the front of his mind. Cove followed bitterly. I don't like it.
It's okay.
But my dad still would have had his business, so I still would have met you. Sheepishly, Derek pressed his shoulders up around his face. He managed a small smile. Yeah, it's rough for all of us. When your parents live and what your parents do has to matter so much. Derek bit his lip, unwilling to let himself confuse negative. But... a turtle coming out of a shell, Derek lifted himself off the counter and rejoined you and Cove at his regular eye level. We did meet each other and we're friends, and that's what counts. Exactly. What ifs don't make a difference because we're really all here. We could have met other way. There's three of us that were. Again, if we don't want anxiety, glad we got to meet. Soon we'll be able to decide everything. Old enough to decide. God, soon enough we'll be adults with adult money and adult brain. No. I'm going. Exactly. What ifs don't make a difference. Yeah. Cove quietly watched over his friend, soothed by his uplift. Then his lips parted, pleasant thought. Hey! This is where I was standing when I first met you.
right?
Oh yeah! Derek bounced up on his toes and tossed the lemon piece he'd been working on over the trash can. It landed inside perfectly. But I was on the other side of the counter back then, and now I'm here in the kitchen with you. I caught your ear and you lifted it for us. You remember the night Cove told you he'd met a new kid there? He didn't say much about it. All you really know is that their parents had started working together, and then Derek began to come around the neighborhood. Derek could recognize an intrigued audience, saw one, and did what he knew how to do. Mr. Holden invited my dad over for a meal at his house after their party. Official. He'd talked about Cove before, when him and my dad were getting to know each other. You can't get away from hearing about Mr. Holden's top-notch son if you spend any time with him. Off to the side, Cove mumbled with embarrassment what he clearly thought was an unnecessary addition. Derek laughed at the minor interruption and went on.
So,
My dad suggested that I come too, since we were the same age. Mr. Holden was really into the idea. I had no idea what to expect from that, but I wanted to go, and sort of business dinner with my dad, it felt pretty cool to be invited, and then I went. Whatever I was imagining, I got there, Mr. Holden definitely. I thought my dad was casual for a professional business person, but Cove's dad. A warmth came to Cove's expression. Not the red-hot heat of fluster from before, but a coolness that was based in honesty. Not a peep. Dad. What'd you think about me when you first met me? Derek mindlessly scratched his damp hand against the back of his head. A stray lemon seed clung to his spikes. You didn't want to cut you off. And unmet.
no way.
Honestly, when I spotted you in the back of the kitchen, I thought Mr. Holden had another older kid he was hiding because there was no way that guy was 13. You were so tall and fit, and you just stared at me. You seemed like a tough upper grade teen who never talked to somebody like me. You snickered under your if you didn't know better. He was describing. Having that description be a of all people was. Cove was equally startled by Derek's. His eyes opened wide and.
Oh.
Yeah, I did, but thought is definitely the right one. That instant put Cove in a pouting mood. He pressed both his palms against the marble countertop, not bothering another Cove playing. Derek leaned his shoulder against Cove's side affectionately. He reached past him to the lemon slip. Wasn't using. Started himself.
Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with being a softie. I like that about you. Bringing Derek's state to life, Cove visibly relaxed the tone of his voice. Guess it's not that bad. Cove was honestly kidding. He thought he was. But just like Derek, that was something you treasured. It's great. Cove took a new piece of food. He joined lemonade. Derek pinched an eye shut from the tension of crushing a chunk in his fist. The tip. Okay. So, what about me? When you first met me, what kind of impression did you? With much less force, Cove used both hands to work in a single lemon. He answered the question. That was likely the same expression he had seen the moment they'd met. Face he'd read intimidating rather than just fact. Thought he probably likes. All three of you shook from laughter, bumping against each other with your clothes like a bunch of fine.
I get it.
Okay. Valaria, your turn. What did you think about me? First met. Oh. Your mind drifted back to a few months before summer vacation had begun. Stepped out of your over for someone else. Someone you'd never seen in your life. Not even in passing. A green-eyed boy with a football jersey who was joking around lightheartedly for a long time. You'd guessed immediately that this was the Derek kid from the Holden's new business room. That or Cove had learned the magic spelled. You had stood there staring for only a second. The newcomer noticed your presence quickly. He jumped right to his feet, jogged across the street, and stuck out his hand for you. With a wide grin, you were so familiar with how he... I thought you were so nice. I thought you were so... I thought you were the politest teenager I'd ever met. I too thought I liked you. I thought you were cute, or I didn't know what to... Do we fluster the boy? 5, we're flustering the boy. I thought you were cute.
Really?
Really? Thanks. The golden retriever. Fine. Like, oh no. Uh-huh. Are you gonna tell me what you thought of me when we met? Derek's gaze shifted to the picture in front of me, him to settle on you instead. There was a focus inside. It made you breath. I thought you were cute. You'd hoped you'd been able to inhale again after you spoke. That only made it worse. You would struggle to get any oxygen. Thanks for telling me. Well, I'm glad you didn't think I talked. Okay. This is the, you know, total confidence, extroverted, you know, sort of answer, I feel like. You know, the, well, we're a couple of cuties. You know? Smirking, blushing. Cuties. We're a couple of cuties. Definitely. Do we tell him about the lemon? Or do we just let the lemon seed live in his hair because it was accidentally placed when he was brushing? You know. Yeah. By the way, you have a lemon seed in your hair.
Oh.
Derek raked his hand through his light brown stance finally. Unfortunately, he focused on the top and sides. One of your hands covered the laughter coming in. The other two pointing on the target on the back. Finally, he was able to brush the and thanks, Flora. You're welcome. We could a little of the lemon zest too. I'll do that. Derek fumbled to move the topic onto his darkening cheeks were probably. Do you have a grater or peeler? Yeah. Both gestured to the same drawer that the knife had come. Derek dug through it into a desolate grater. He took his stuff to the opposite side of the kitchen, knocking in the way, and worked back to the coat. Bove tilted his head thoughtfully. He was inspired. Derek's working. If it's gonna be fancy, then we should do that thing where you put in the whole slice. I can cut a few of them over.
Cool.
Ooh, Valaria, can you pour the water in and sugar in the pitcher? Yep. You started by filling a sparkly jug with chilled, filtered water from the fridge. Then you remembered to put ice. Diluted lemon juice sloshed around and threatened to spill over as you piled the ice. You left some space to close those lemons. Finally, you took a hold of the hefty bag of white sugar close to the edge. Stray grains of sugar that coated the bag came to stick against your still damp fingers instead. You felt like you were building a sandcastle. How much sugar? Like, traditionally a cup is about what you want to add. But like, we could just go rogue. We could add way too much. That's so not enough. That like, the cup is the actual like, you know. Are we going 2 cups or just pouring like, you know? Pouring. I feel like oh, I don't feel lemonade should bring sugar with your heart, which is either going to be really sweet or really bad, or until it stops dissolving, it's either going to be really good or bad. You just poured sugar in. split piled at the bottom of the glass. You search around the kitchen until you found a full ceramic mixing bowl. You dunked it in the pit. You stirred. A quiet smile grew on your face as you watched the bits of sugar swirl around in the pale yellow drink. At this point, the separate ingredients had truly come together to make lemonade. Round and round you turned. It was almost hypnotic the way the juice swirled inside the pitcher. Your trance was broken by a sharp hiss at your side. You dropped the spoon, losing it to the depths of the lemonade, and snapped your head toward Cove. He was holding his left hand up to his face. A thick bubble of dark red had slipped down from his fingers and left a streak over his palm. Oh, ouch. My brain goes, Band-Aids? Where be Band-Aids? Like, I'm not I'm sorry. It's not like he sliced his finger. I'm not gonna scream. I'm not. Just, where do you keep Band-Aids? You know? Cove plainly shrugged. Yeah, exactly, just Band-Aid. It's nothing. Without even thinking about it, Cove reached his hand down to wipe the mess on his pants. Luckily for his trousers, Derek flipped around at the commotion. His tense, worried face took in the scene, and a disbelieving shout startled Cove into freezing. Don't do that! Cove stared incredulously from the corner of his eyes, with the arms awkwardly sticking out from his side. His sudden pause in a strange position reminded you of the red light, green light game you played for elementary school, except there was no green. Only red in Cove's. I'm fine. No way. Seriously, Cove. Have to take care of that. Derek stretched his arms high to grasp the taller teen by the shoulder. He stepped backward, getting Cove to move with him. We're gonna go clean this off for real, Cove muttered and averted. He stumbled along with Derek, who was reversing out of the kitchen. Gloria, do you mind cleaning up the cutting board? No, I'll take care of it. You gathered the knife onto the counter and brought it over to the trash. Lemon slices can be used in a drink after. You used the knife to scrape them in the bag. Then you got to rinsing the board and knife in the sink with soap and hot water. You switched between staring down at the studs and checking boys. You were careful not to accidentally get a cut of your own, but it was hard not to wonder what was going down. By the time you'd finished washing up, Cove and Derek re-emerged in the living room. An unassuming brown bandage was wrapped around the cut finger.
It's okay.
It's okay. It wasn't deep. We washed it off, got it clean, put a bandage on it, good as new! Derek marched with confidence right back into the kitchen. Cove hesitated in the living room. He waved apology.
Hey.
Hey, you're really okay? I definitely am. I just nicked myself with lemon slip. The juice stinging me way worse than the cut itself. There. As someone who has gotten lemon juice in a, open wound, the acid hurts worse than cutting yourself. That's a relief. Thanks for helping, Derek. Thanks, you too. It's cleaner in here. Right, chef. Yeah, exactly. You understand. You understand the I slice my hand and then have to touch it. Hey, we need you to take all of these lemons and slice them. Hey, can you cut lime wedges for the bar? He held his hand up to you for a high five. It had been washed clean of the lemon juice. Coated it before. Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Clapping is just giving yourself a high five. You swung your palm forward and clapped Derek back. Pumped his arms enthusiastically to follow. Bo walked over to join you, smiling. Thanks for caring. Always, man. Now what?
Well,
He took a second to look between you two and Cove. He puzzled out a next step, and then he beat. Let's try our lemonade. It doesn't need the slices or the zest. Derek gave an exaggerated wave across from the front of his chest, blowing the whole thing off. Cove eagerly supported the sentiment. He was more than ready to put the prior incident behind him. Like I said, this is either going to be wonderful.
You're right.
Yeah, lemonade doesn't need to be fancy. It's lemonade. So this is either going to be this or... Derek nodded twice. strained to lift a nearly full pitcher. He had to balance on his tip or the juice instead of 3 glasses put out early. If Derek noticed that there was a spoon clattering around in there, he pretended. I mean, in for a penny. In. At the same time, Hope and Derek took their cups, woke up. The reaction was immediate. Hope back when Scott was sprayed, and then he spit into the cup. Derek's face and body scrunched together, but he was polite enough to choke the gritty beverage down. It's not lemonade. It's lemon-flavored sugar goo. Shh. Derek exhaled painfully and chuckled from nervous shock. It's kinda chunky. You joined in laughter, those yours were far more sinister. I had sugar, just like. You boldly took a sip of the sweet lemon slop, smirking me in. Derek used a hand to wipe a few drops of what could loosely be called lemonade off the ground.
That's really bad.
Here's something else. Hove nudged the glass of undrinkable liquid away from himself, but his enthusiasm hadn't squashed his own idea. Fill the water bowls. Slowly, cautiously, Derek questioned Hove's plan. He didn't want to ruin things, but expressing concern was more important due to the cut on a
Are
finger.
you sure?
Will you really be alright with a balloon fight with your finger and stuff? Dude, it's cut on a finger. It's not like he lost his arm. Like, there's a point where it's like, I understand the, hesitation, but also, it's not like his hand has gotten chopped off. It's not like this was an ER visit. Exactly, it's not like he broke his arm again. Hove remained relaxed in the face of Derek's worry. He wasn't gonna bring the mood down after the commotion he caused earlier. He responded to his inquiry by slippy pulling out a big. Your neighbor smirked as he held up his left arm over his chest, showing the full length of the jagged, pale scar that marked. I've had worse. Derek's eyes widened and his mouth was stuck, hanging open. Derek could only imagine what Hove had gone through to get injured with such a lasting impact. But if Hove Holden could manage that, he could manage that.
Whoa!
Whoa! You're pretty tough after. Compliment had Cove preening. He caressed his trusty scar and giggled childishly. Yeah, you make a good point. Alright, let's do it. Nothing else needed to be. The three of you busted open the baggie of water balloons, pushed the tools of your lemonade production aside, and got to work on another summer. You stretched the open end of a water balloon over the faucet. Plastic fit snugly around the stove. You still kept your hand on it, certain the water balloon didn't pop off and shoot the stream back into your face like a busted water balloon. Derek flipped the handle up for you, and the first saggy balloon rapidly. Out of the bag, the balloon was a dark emerald. Only in a few seconds, it floated its back of water, stretched so thin, the green had become almost. It was as pale as Cove's. Or was pushed beyond its limit. Derek turned the faucet off again. I hate when it goes like slightly beyond its and then less than that, and it just. Ugh. You carefully picked the strained top of it, thickly plump, and then harvested off the silk. We're going with grapes today. Apparently, it's just grapes, Cove reached out as he attended to tie the balloon while you and Derek continued killing. Derek looked between the balloon and Cove's hand and called for timeout. He'd been a little overeager to get involved and realized in that moment that their team arrangement wasn't the most efficient. He requested to switch positions with Cope. That I can get by. Put the person who does have the bandage on their hand on the I'm gonna open the water, shut off the water, control the faucet sort of thing, rather than tying because that can rip them. I get that. I agree with that. So. Cove rolled his eyes but couldn't argue. His bandage could have easily been yanked right off by the taut loop of the plastic around the while tying. Your optimized party got back into action with you hooking the balloons onto the balloon. Cove handling water distribution, and Derek sealing the deal with you. Soon you had a couple dozen shiny water balloons overflowing. Cove pushed off silent. He disappeared from the kitchen, left you and Derek wondering. He went into the hall, bedroom. He was only gone for a minute. Before stepping back into the hall, pure white, full speckled laundry. The point of that was obvious. Joyce Bin did get a bit of ribbon to Derek. Did she dump your clothes on the floor for that? Yeah, we're already dirty.
Oh.
Derek blinked. He hadn't expected that to be true or for Cove to be so straightforward about it. You snickered at the exchange, still casually leaning in. That does sound like something that, like, you know, Cove would. They'd just be like, not like they're gonna get here, baby. When Cove dropped the very newly emptied laundry basket on the pile, you created a few water balloons in your arms and placed them inside. Cove and Derek joined in the transfer. Eventually, every water balloon had safely made it into the basket.
Nice.
Nice work. Derek and Cove each took one side and lifted while you helped steer by grabbing his hand. Moving as one, the three of you shuffled out of the kitchen through the living room. Take your treasure chest of jiggly jewelry. At least you were smart enough to do this outside. The door was open. The drop from the curb was overcome. You successfully placed the laundry basket in the center of the Your poor lemonade stall suffered from the lack of traffic that was perfect for current. No civilians were likely to get caught in the crossfire. Well, here. Alright. Derek slowly curled and uncurled his fist. Cove didn't take his eyes off you or Dick. Do we grab a weapon? Grab the balloons? Or do we just let the tension hold? I'm here for just grabbing a weapon. You know. Grab one. You know. Cove lashed out like a snake at your move and got his hand around a balloon of his own before anything short. Derek wasn't gonna. He stuck both his hands deep into the mass and came out. In quick succession, Derek launched one shot at you. You felt the impact of a solid object slamming against your chest, burst into a million pieces of stock of cold waters. Cove was left sputtering, dark stain at the lower edge of the top. He shook the head off and chuckled the balloon directly at Derek. It exploded. No one was trying. No one was safe. The war was. All right. Do we throw it at Derek or Cove? Because I feel like the retaliation to Derek makes sense because it's a 1-for-1 hit. He hit Cove. Cove hit him back. He hit me. I hit him back. Logic would dictate I'd try to pelt him in the chest with, with a weapon. But then there's also the fact that Cove is, is right there. Or I could just run off with my balloons, but I feel like throwing it. You know what? I'm gonna throw it at Derek. It's not, for me it's more about he's already hit me. He threw one at Cove and Cove hit him back, and he threw one at me, and I feel like hitting him back is a good way to start because it's the retaliatory. It landed true and added a second dripping blotch to Derek's favorite jersey. Start with equal opportunity wax. Or even Derek.
It's on.
Yeah. Okay. The three of you elbowed against the others to dig into the pile and restock your supplies, slightly taking turns out of it. The water balloon fight was. Derek sprinted up and down the street, making himself into a moving. He'd only make a mad dash for the center area, ran out of balloon. Hope had no fear of being made right by lobbing strike. Are we chasing after Derek, competing with Cove for control of the pile, or hiding in the doorway and taking pot shots. We've already hit Derek. We could compete with Cove over the pile and get, like, just, horribly so, probably. And then we're kind of, like, even. 3? Yeah. I feel like I'd do the same thing and just be like, no, my best. You competed with Cove for the control over the pile. It was a mess with the both of you sending off a barrage of balloons in close contact. At one point, Cove was shaking so hard from a chuckle fit that his attempt to throw went so poorly that the balloon didn't even pop. It just bumped against your arm before plopping on the ground. You almost fell over trying to get it back to toss it again through wheezing. You still ended up a little wetter because of how watery your eyes had gotten from the overwhelming giggle. Laughter and water splashes filled the normally quiet Sunset Bird neighborhood. You were so convinced grandparents would jump out and shout about them. Luckily, no one interrupted your revelry, and even if someone had, they would have been putting their dryness in front of the group. This is very true. Rapidly, the amount of balloons dwindled until each person only had one left in their hand. Every basket had nothing in it except a puddle at the bottom, scraps of rubbers. Arms were held high in the air, taking aim, shifted from one option to the other. Derek wound his hand further back, hoping you couldn't take this up. Teeth tried to calculate where the fly. Move? You. However, Derek chose neither. He launched it straight up in the air and it reached an impressive height. You could barely see the speck of yellow against the vast sky, until it inevitably sailed down and smacked into the tarmac. Derek broke into more snickers. At the exact moment, the balloon broke into 1,000 drops. He wasn't the only one amused by the stunt. Poe's smile bent, and he opened his fingers to let his balloon drop arms. This time, in an accident, he didn't pick it back up. Instead, he brutally brought his foot against his own weapon and decimated it on the field. A jovial truce. Do I throw it in the air, step on it, break it against my own head like one of those people who crushes cans against their own head, or throw it at one of the boys? I kind of like the idea of doing the break it against your own head because it's just the impressive feat of, like, it's the same vibe as crushing a can against your head. If you know how to do it, it's impressive to watch someone do it. So, I'm probably gonna go with break it against my own head and just, have that moment of crushing sort of vibe. If no one was throwing balloons at each other anymore. Didn't mean hit Derek. Why? Why Derek? He deserves it. Why? You just not like, is it because Derek's... Is it because of Derek? Derek is Hound. And Scottish Hound is... because he has to... and he needs sound. Or... That ceasefire didn't have to apply to you. Without mercy, you pelted Derek with the final blow. He splattered against the center of the torso. He was left stunned. And then he cheered.
Awesome.
That was great. That was how the grandest battle you and your neighborhood had likely ever seen. You were all dripping wet, out of breath, and you couldn't be happy. Derek rubbed his hands together in satisfaction before crouching to the ground, starting to collect the tiny bits of water balloons. Cove strolled around to gather the confetti like trash and thrown up as well. There didn't have to be a discussion. Derek and Cove had the quality in common. Taste. You appreciated that about them, joined in to help pieces off the carry in, carry out. Quietly wandered around, filling your fists with the rubbery remains. The sun crept behind. That's probably why I don't enjoy, water balloon fights and stuff anymore, because I just wanted... Your shadows grew longer in the waning. You felt the damp cling of your clothes more acutely. Your team managed to finish cleaning for night. All the trash was dumped into a tall green trash can side of the coast. All that remained, carnage. few drying water spotting the street. Your group had returned to the state originally started, directionless relaxed. Cove had been perfectly willing to return to his house, while still wet and scratched up fresh glasses. Plus, he had your chips tucked under his arm. Struggled. But Cove took one for the team as someone who actually lived. You and Derek didn't have to go in and make him cold at home, so you imagined Cove's dad would. He passed it to you and one and used a free hand to flip the laundry basket over. It was less flimsy than it looked because Cove sat on it. Didn't buckle at all. Derek politely passed on Cove provided. Remained standing, shifting his weight. Are we sitting on the basket, standing around, or just sitting on the ground at this point? All right. I just typically, you know, if you cared about keeping your clothes pristine, you wouldn't have gotten into a water balloon instead of dirt. Cove quietly took it. There was no gagging, so you assumed he added more water before bringing it. Derek circled the top of the glass, watching.
Are you alright?
Your hand. Dave savored another taste of the drink, let out a fresh sigh.
It's okay.
Still fine. Ooh. The ritual of checking on him was complete, and Derek could only chuckle bashfully over his habit. Derek smiled over the. There was comfort in it. Derek, we do have a lot. And then, cuddle you. In between enjoying the lemon, plenty of lunch. Math. The air was warm enough to be comfortable. Lemonade and good company. That was what days like these couldn't get much. Cove agreed without you. Summer really is the.
Same.
I think so too. I mean, I enjoy summer. You know, I was just thinking about that. Me agree. It's okay, I guess. Summer's the worst of them. It's only the best because it's school vacation, so it wins by default, or sure. I mean, I personally, even though I don't have school vacation anymore, I still enjoy the summer. And like the beach and, you know, going outside and the fireworks you occasionally see and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you know? Great minds think alike. A gentle expression rested on Derek's face as he spoke softly. It'd be nice if things could be like this all the time, huh? Then Derek lifted his glass and spoke in mock outrage to the world at large. Why can't it always be summer break? Despite it being an obvious joke, Derek's words took forward with hope. His total chill hardened into seriousness. He downed his glass of lemonade and mocked. I'm gonna check on something. You should come, both of you. He considered that a sufficient offer because Cove simply walked back to the front of his house and left the empty glass on the door. Derek's gaze followed his friend. Brow. What are we gonna see? See when we get there. You're probably gonna try and talk me out of it, so you don't need to know.
What?
Actually, that's one of my favorite, you know.
What?
Which? He almost dropped his cup. Derek twisted his head to track Cove's moves with his saucer eye. Or maybe Valaria would. This is gonna be true.
Come on.
Still completely calm, Cove strolled up the road. Derek gulped, but not the lemonade. He pointed a panicked glance at you. We should go. You pushed yourself off your seat and stood by Derek. Alright. Derek hooked his open hand through the side handle of the laundry bag. He jogged on his tiptoes. Hondo. The bin bumped along against behind him. He flung it in front of him and left it there in the entry. He placed his half-empty lemonade in his coat. You're right behind him. You dropped the chips into the laundry basket and completed the set of glasses by placing yours. Let's go. After another light jog, you caught up. He was going at a leisurely pace, smirked, saw the two of you. Vision. Hey. Hi. Together, you and Cove and Derek, the neighborhood and the main sidewalk that reached the grocery hours. An exchange of glances between you and Derek, the only interaction you had during the walk. Cove kept his sun-kissed face forward. Stopping wasn't on your neighbor's mind. The building was past. He was taking you further than that. Only about a minute later, your progress was halted by a row of strikingly traffic and strings of floppy do not cross banners. Should we go around? No, we're here. Derek stalled. Hope, however, got onto his knees in front of the blocked-off area. His eyes were glinting. Saw this when we were leaving, the parking. The concrete is still wet, but there's no... Yet again, Cove had knocked a gasp at Derek. You're not gonna mess it up, right? Cove didn't have to say anything to answer. He shared a coy smile.
Oh man.
Oh, Cove, that is really bad. The grin on Derek's face trembled, both from laughter, loud, and the fear of getting it. Why am I not? No, it's perfect. Cove, you can't. Yep, it makes sense why you didn't. Or shook his side or stared around nervously. Again, you know, but I like the. Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised that you found the wet cement? Why am I not? Because you know me. Poe fearlessly stuck his finger into muddy, gray concrete. He slowly etched a series of numbers. When it was done, the corner of the block had 2011 scribbled into it. He surveyed his work with pride while wiping his dirty finger on the side of his pant leg. Do we new initials? Like, I'm here for all three of the initials, you know? Or a heart? Smiley. They're boy pants, they will be fine. How do we feel about writing the initials of everybody? I think that should be cute, like, you know? A little flair. There was plenty of space for you to get the signature. 3 pairs of letters were placed all around Cove's desk.
It's nice.
Derek stared hard at the soft, forbidden candy, slowly paused, bit his lip, and then ultimately pressed one finger in his khaki suit. He'd left a sign of his right along with Coke and you. Relief came to Derek's features. Finished. Hopefully it dries before anyone finds it. The single word was only a whisper. It was warm. Here. Thanks for taking us, Cove. You're welcome. Cove dusted off his pants, stood up after a job well done. Derek shot up as well, newly invigorated. He looked to the sky and squinted at the sun. The day was coming to an end, but no one could say your group had wasted. That was true for the entire season. No matter what happened, when school started again, unknown future arrived. You would still have all the memories you made together. And the thing. Alright, so we have time to start one more. Not probably finish it, but start one more. So we have 1 through 12. Roll, or we can pick. Please note, this is not an option. We have to do that one on this side of things. So we have growing, family, dinner, road trip, mall, birthday. 5. Welcome, Demon Ass. And fair enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to the mall. Look, when I was 13, it was like 2000 and oh god, no, it was 99. I was 13 in 1999. Oh wow, that just hit me. Oh, well, technically 2000. I was 13 in 2000. I'm but I distinctly remember the mall being the place to be. So, let's go to the mall. And also, hi DMS. You're catching the end of the stream. That's wonderful. Lee's visit today turned out to be more involved than you expected. After overhearing with the Holden family, Lee insisted on seeing Mr. Holden's shop firsthand. Also, see the Holden shop. I feel like if Hound owned a shop this would probably be something like it. It caters to scuba divers and swimmers and snorkeling and you know, ski-doos and anything involving water or watercraft or water sports or something to do with water. Lee. An hour later, and Lee was busy looking at every item in play. Because Cove's dad offered his lessons and tours. His shop had all the scuba-related stuff you can imagine. Fins, masks, suits, and snorkel. After circling around the shop, he finally stopped and looked over it. I mean, I feel like, having known Cove, you have to have been there at least before. Even if it wasn't often, I feel like it's gotta be 2 or 3 more than it's been 5 years, and unless the shop is very, very new, which it seems like it could be partnership-wise new, but it seems like the shop itself isn't too new. I feel like you definitely had to have gone there. If, you know, yeah. You'd spent a lot of time here for years. The shop was as familiar to you as your own neighborhood. It was practically another extension of home. I mean, I'm fine with that. That's a pleasant surprise, or, you know, general excitement, you know? Touring a shop you've been to a billion times, I don't mind doing that, especially since you are seeing it through the eyes of someone who hasn't before. But the question becomes, are we enjoying the trip to the shop? I'm gonna go with good spirits. This was a... You enjoyed showing Lee around the shop. Doing this was better than just telling her about it. Lee was still busy poking through the various wetsuits. So you decided to see what Derek and Cove were doing. They were too absorbed in their conversation to notice you standing with them, leaning against the counter. You were able to pick up their topic quickly.
Anyway.
Anyway, my dad told me the new stuff is selling like crazy. Yeah, the material has this new blend with less neoprene. My dad says people are really interested. It brought a smile to your face hearing that the shop is doing well. Do we tease them? Do we tease the boys? This is an opportunity to tease both of them at once. Always yes. I love that hound. Always tease the boys. I think I figured out Mr. Holden and Mr. Suarez's secret to running. Cove crossed his arms and looked at you with an eyebrow raised, while Derek gave you a generally confused look. You motioned with your hands for them to lean in close. Clearly, they realized they could sell anything. All the handsome faces. Cove's face immediately got over. He looked away, shaking his head. Derek took it in stride. And that's why I'm here, learning from the best. But really, there's just so much to think about with a business. It's crazy. No matter how much I come, I still think I don't think I get it. Cove hummed and nodded in agreement, causing a good-humored laugh from Derek. I thought you only liked the scuba diving part, not the job. That's just the best. I thought about the other things too.
I gotcha.
Cool. The business side, running it, that's my favorite. They are so their dad. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught movement, and you realized that Lee was now standing next to you. When your dad's retired, do you think you're gonna carry on the store? Both sons shrugged in unison.
Well,
There's a ton of things I do. My dad thinks so too. He doesn't want me to plan on. Cove's gaze fell to the conflict flashing across his face.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a lot. Being the real boss, something really enjoy. If my mom's had their own business, I'd take it over. If my mom's had one, I wouldn't want to take it over either. I can't run a business. I wouldn't want to take over either. I want to do my own thing. Then, do you think your dad would let me take over this shop? No matter what you both do, shop or no shop. One. If my mom's had their own, You would? You smile wistfully. It's a promising future. Fair. If they put all that work in starting and running a show, let it go. It would be part of the family. Derek looked like he arms folded. That's a good point. It could be sad to say bye. Poe's parents left the back, came over, catching her. Sorry, kids. It looks like it's gonna be a long one. I know usually others hold the fort down. Feeling to stay. Fair enough. I'm gonna be wrapping up in about 20 minutes, but you're welcome to join for those 15-20 minutes, Jade, and I'm glad you had a nice nap. You know? I know you wanted to just, but it'll be boring getting stuck all day. Derek can take my car and go back to the neighborhood. Hove and Derek gave Mr. Holden crossed it. There's one condition that someone has to remember to come back from. Don't get to strand me here, no matter how funny that might be. Kira laughed and gave a thumbs up. Mr. Holden seemed satisfied. He moved on with the explanation. Oh, Derek. Your dad also has... So he doesn't have time to run you home.
It's okay.
That's alright, sir. The title Sir got an awkward chuckle lift, which was cut short when Kira elbowed.
What do you think?
You already said I could borrow your car. Why don't I take all the kids somewhere fun for the afternoon?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's fine with me. Just please come back eventually, sometime today, bruh. After multiple jokes about being left with no ride, you had to wonder if that actually happened. Asked. For you, my good sir, I swear, cross my heart. Happy to with the promise, got his black wallet and offered a 50. Here, in case you need gas or anything else while you're out. Kira smiled knowingly and accepted the bill without hesitation.
Thank you.
Bove's dad stuck the wallet in his back pocket while he waved with a free hand. Okay, time for me to jump back into work. Have fun for me. Bye, Dad. Bye. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Holden. Goodbye, sirs and madams. He left the room with a wink and a flare, disappearing into the employees-only area of the shop. When Mr. Holden was out of sight, Kira silently strolled over to the counter, carefully placed the bill there. She then turned back and beamed a large smile at you in the eye. I feel like I'd at least tuck it. Come on, gang! Let's see if this town has a mall!
Yeah!
Unable to contain her excitement, Lee actually jumped for joy, while Cove and Derek. There wasn't a mall in your hometown, but Mr. Holden's store wasn't where it might be possible to find him. Oh, hell. Yeah, mall time! Heck yeah! Let's go! She quickly herded the group out of the store and into the car.
Cove.
As the driver, I get to choose my partner in crime. Naturally, I bestow the position of shotgun to my baby. Her comment had both Derek and Lee. Cove was for sure embarrassed over the phrasing and blatant favor. He took the seat by his mom. Oh yeah, you can poke him if you want. Right, oh god, that's embarrassing. Yeah, but like, you can poke at it. You can poke at the embarrassment. You can stick up for him. You keep me quiet, I'd stay at the shop for that. Oh god, Mom, in front of all of my friends. All of my friends. You called me your baby. That's, do we poke at the open wound, or do we just pretend the scene didn't happen, and do we move on, or do we? That's the question. I'll roll an even odds, just. Alright. Dice say be nice. So unless someone objects. Just... Alright. The hound has spoken. You decided to jokingly complain of special treatment. Come on, there's gotta be a better way to choose than whomever your own kid is. That got a hearty laugh out of Kira. Sorry, you'll get where I'm coming from when you start driving. You continued your teasing cut in the back. You'll understand when you're older was the word. I'll take the middle seat. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want a window seat. You two can have. No, Derek. You just want to squish yourself. Are you cool with that? You thought it was odd that anyone would give up a window seat, but you knew Derek tried to be especially polite. Yes, nodded.
Fantastic.
Good. Sounds like we're all in agreement. Everyone squeezed into the car, buckling in, and Kira turned the radio on. She set it to a top 40s pop song. I mean, you're 13, and it's popular songs on the radio. I remember listening to every popular song on the radio. That's why I like Britney Spears. If I had been born like a decade later, I'd probably be a Swiftie. Solely because I enjoy that kind of poppy music, and that's probably why I was such a... You know. So big. Says the dude who enjoys many of the things I enjoy with me. Quickly you recognized the song play. It was a new one by an artist you were listening to a lot recently. Vague. It wasn't long until your group realized that they were... But after driving in enough circles, Kira's struggle paid off when she found a local mall. I know it's one of your emails. I know which one. There were more chillingly as Kira pulled into a parking. Once your group had made it inside, the first order of business was checking out what they asked. Where should we go? Ooh, I think I see a makeup store up ahead. She rolled up on her toes to get a better view. Meanwhile, Derek was eyeing the directory. There's a chocolate shop. Seriously, we have to go there. Yes, wait. And we need to find a decent jewelry shop. I need new hair ties and breath.
Nice.
We've also got to at least look for a game store. There's a ton of things you can't get anywhere else but a store that's just for video. Hey, what are you thinking, Cody? I want to look at the fish. You could have guessed. Anywhere else? He smiled, bashful. We go to a shop.
So...
What about you, Vlog? Alright, so you can pick everywhere that they've picked, but the first one you pick is the one that technically counts as being mentioned to the group. So like if you start with say like arts and supplies or a bookstore, you can pick a bunch of these, but the one that they basically will talk about and mention is the, I picked bookstore first, so you made time to go to a bookstore, all that. So we have a vote for video game store. We have 2 viewers. Do we have an agreement? Do we have an accord? Do we have a difference of opinion? I don't care where we go. I just want to see the chaos. So. Art. All right, we have 1 vote for art and 1 vote for video games. So you know what? I'm going to do an evens odds. Do we have a Honda Accord? I will. Evens is Jade. Odds is Hound. And then it's the second nat 1 I have rolled on this dice in less than 3 hours. There's a reason I don't use these dice. Oh, can I do that? I don't know if I do. It doesn't love me. We can fix that later. You know what? We can fix that later. And I did roll a 1. I swear I rolled a... We'll definitely get to video. That's definitely going to be on the list. But we'll start with art. So an art and supply store, a video store, definitely the chocolate shop. Nothing else for me. Chocolate shop. Bookstore's a fine choice. Do we feel like stopping anywhere else that I have not listed? Clothing, accessories, makeup, pet store, camping and outdoor supply shop, food court, or music? Food court, there. Anywhere else? That's true. The D20 command work very well for that. I'll have to look into that. go everywhere. Why the makeup store? I don't even wear makeup. Hanging out, first supply, music shop, pet store. Fine, we'll just go everywhere. Keeps his mom happy. That's certainly a list. Good thing we have all afternoon. Yeah. I have my own stops I want to make. Let's agree to regroup here at 7.
What?
What? You're not coming with us? We're all in the same building. You won't be as alone as you think. I'll only be a few minutes away at most. You're old enough to enjoy the mall without me hovering. Okay.
See you soon.
Be back here at 7. Toodaloo! Leaving Derek and Lee stunned by their newfound freedom, Kira walked off. When she was almost out of sight, Derek's face twisted in confusion. Wow, she's really gone. I can't believe she just did that. Woo! This is so cool! We get to do whatever we want! Oh. No, you know what? Your parental figure dropped you and your fellow 13-year-olds off at a mall. Like, I'm gonna set it so that you do have money, but like, you have some money. You have all afternoon. Yeah, you're gonna be running around the mall. It's just fun, you know? Talk about an amazing opportunity. You were happy about it. It really is exciting. With the decision already made, Derek tried to pull together his earlier enthusiasm for the trip. So, where are we going first? Time's a-wasting. Whatever's closest. Things were coming together, but you realize there might be a flaw in today's sudden plans. What's wrong, Valoria? Did everyone bring money with them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always have some money when I come out here. I'm noting we have money, okay? It's important for the story that we have money. Immediately, you felt better about the situation. It would have been a downer not be able to even think about something if you didn't have money. I'm good. Now that everything was squared away, you explored them all together, group. There were many shops that you managed to venture into so far. You all even went into an art supply store, leaving you with a pep in your step. This was better than you thought, and there was still so much to see. After having hit so many of the top priority stores, you found yourself passing by a small booth. It was decorated with wind chimes of various sizes. You raised a hand up to one of the smaller ones. What sparked your attention next? You thought for sure he was going to stop at the booth the way he looked at you. He kept going. Do you want one? It wasn't until Lee asked that you realized that you had stopped in front of the booth without saying anything. Lee just continued to encourage you. You should get one. Do we want a pretty wind chime? I mean, I want a pretty wind. I feel like let's get a pretty wind. Yeah, I think I do want to get it. Cool. I have one like this and it's really nice. It makes the prettiest sound. I love wind. Like in real life, I love wind chimes and I'd love to be able to have a wind chime. Fishing your money out, you've made a decision on what to buy. Am I getting one so I can get one for just myself, or I can get one for me and one for Cove, and we can kind of like delightfully embarrass him with a cute gift. I personally don't mind getting one for me and for Cove, but other people's opinions matter. So before I sign off, are we gonna get him a wind chime? I'm gonna put tops on things. 1, 2, 1, 2. We want 1 or 2, because I do actually have to. Fine. Since nobody answered, I'm just gonna get one for me, for Cove. Can I get these 2? Now, why would you need wind? However, and yes, I know this is halfway through the scene, but that just means you're gonna have to come back next time I play this, which will be next Friday. I'm saving it literally right here, right in the middle of the scene, right while Lee is talking to me. Deal with it. And I will be back because it is 4 p.m. and I have stuff I sadly like reopen the windows because it's getting very warm in here. So until then, I will be back next Tuesday with the Norse Gods Generations Challenge Generation 3. We're going to be also updating a few things. It'll be fun. It'll be awesome. We'll figure it out then. And until then, thank you for liking, following, sharing, and subscribing on both YouTube and Twitch. And don't forget, we have a Discord. I'm gonna type that in real quick, where you can join, and we occasionally have fun random votes. Find the links in the descriptions under each channel and occasionally posted in chat. Until then, see you next Tuesday and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!